Might as well start episode 3, handing Tiz the L that you deserve. So I'll take my man. $5. Thank you, Jack Shore.
Why you gotta kick a man when he's down?
Oh, I mean, it's MMA, man. You don't stop until the ref pulls you off.
A lot of shame in this, but
I appreciate that.
Gotta do what I gotta do.
No, that was a great fight. We'll get into that.
At least that's a silver lining in all of this.
Yeah, if it was like a first round knockout by Jack Shore or Valiev, that would have sucked. But that was a war, and we'll get into it eventually. But I honestly wanted to start off not even talking about the any of the fights yet, but just how like crazy the energy in London was. Like you could hear them throughout the prelims, man. It was great. And like I remember saying it on the sports book that the energy they bring is just something else, and man, they delivered. You hear Dana White said he was covered in beer. You could barely even hear him, dude. He could barely talk. He's losing his voice out there.
Those some passionate ass MMA fans, dude. Fight fans in general.
Yeah, man. It's just incredible.
Like you said, even in like the early prelims and everything, when there was just it looked like there was hardly anyone there. Like,
but you could still hear them.
You could still hear it.
You look at like outside the octagon, front row's empty, but you hear literally the whole crowd behind them. It's nuts. I enjoyed that. That whole card though is good. Like well set up from beginning to end. Like we were talking about it a little bit, but honestly, the matchmakers for that one really deserve some praise because. You know, usually you have a few fights on there that you're just like, you don't really care about. But this one, every fight just was a good one. Great matchup. So I think this honestly was probably a contender for like one of the cards of the year so far.
Easily.
If not,
it's not even a question.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how the rest of the year turns out. That's number one for me so far.
A bunch of potential knockouts of the year too.
Yeah,
that we're gonna
Molly Mccann. Oh my god! Honestly, Iliotoporia too got a little overshadowed just because.
Even like finishes. I mean, this dude Tom Aspinall really said arm lock.
Yeah, no, I was
like, what?
Honestly, we'll use that. Let's get right into that.
We got to
get into
use that as a transition.
I've been saying, and you know this for a long time, I've been high on Tom Aspinall, man. I think that this dude is next.
How could you not be, man? And especially after this.
Who's done that to Volkov? Like, do you remember anybody doing that to Volkov? Like, people have beaten him, but nobody's ever done that to him. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Like, he submitted him in one round. And these, like I said, British guys, you know, people think that they're just all striking. But Tom Aspinall, man, he just proved that he's the real deal in all facets of MMA and just... You know, what did you think of that fight when you watched it?
I mean, not much different from you. I mean, like, so I'm just gonna get right to it. We saw the fight. We saw how just incredible Tom Aspinall looks right now. I want to get to the post-fight call out because I think I remember. Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing that.
What, him and Taporia?
Yep.
Yeah, no, that'd be an interesting one, honestly. I mean, how do you think that goes, like, early, you know, thoughts on it, like, obviously, before thinking about it more and more, just off the top of your head?
I think it ends in a probably similar to this fight, honestly. I don't know in favor of who, but...
You think it'll be fair?
It's fair. Similar to this fight.
I don't know. I think Aspinall, well, obviously, like I said, I'm very big on like where he's going to end up. So I think that he'd run right through Tai Tuivasa, honestly. The only thing he'd have to worry about, in my opinion, is like the power, obviously. And that's anybody at heavyweight, but Tai Tuivasa especially. But Aspinall's just like, he's got all the tools. Like he's got it on the feet, on the ground, like grappling, not even like just jiu-jitsu. Like he's got wrestling.
Yeah,
he's just so good. The only thing we don't know is about his cardio, and like, who cares? Like, if the reason why we don't know about his cardio is because he has all first round finishes, like, is that really a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, who cares until it actually is tested?
Yeah.
Like this guy is incredible.
I personally felt. I mean, not that I thought this was gonna happen, but like obviously it played out like kind of like everybody else played that scenario in their head. Like, what if this does go into the 4th and 5th round? Like. You know, does Aspinall really stand a chance then?
Because Volkov's pace is phenomenal, but you know, Aspinall was smart. He like had to get him on the back foot immediately, and he did. And
dude, he just
dominated. It was a dominant fight while it lasted. You know what I mean?
He just finished one of the the elites of the heavyweight division.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's just going out there and easily finishing Volkov like
Just
that.
casually.
Like even Ciryl Gane didn't finish him like that. He just he dominated him. But that was just incredible, man. Like you said, I want to see him versus Tai Tuivasa, and I think it would be cool. You know, I obviously would love it if it was a main event, but it would be cool if it was a pay-per-view co-main, 3 rounds, really boost the profile of both guys. Well, Ty obviously is famous enough, but Tom Aspinall, man, like that's a star in the making. Like he's got character too.
I think
a
3-rounder would be fireworks.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole
like,
way through.
What difference does it make if like it's not a 5-round fight? And like even if you want to say that
he
should get one before he fights for the title, like he just had one. You know what I mean? Like just because he didn't drag it out till the 5th round doesn't mean he's not good enough to fight for a title. But we'll see what happens. I hope that fight gets booked. I agree. But what do you think for Volkov? I mean, I don't have like a name in mind, but what do you think, I guess, like in terms of what his next move should be? You think it should be like against another one of these crazy up and coming prospects, or you think they'll match him up against a nicer opponent next?
No, I think Volkov is still like good. I think this is one. Like Tom Aspinall looks incredible right now. Like, I don't think there's much shame in a loss in that. I think he'll be fine. I think you can. Because I think you give him another up and coming, like you said. I think then you're looking at him as like.
Imagine they gave him Pavlovich, the guy who won earlier in the card that we'll get to. That'd be an interesting fight too, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think in that case, like maybe you're kind of looking at him like a gatekeeper in a sense. I feel like Volkov
you can't just go and give him like a top 5 guy like and push him back into that like title picture though.
You don't have to do that either, but
if he's facing like if you're saying he's gonna face up and comers.
I don't know what the heavyweight rankings are gonna look like now.
Yeah, true.
But depending on that, I think I'll have a better.
Yeah, true. I mean, we'll know on Tuesday about that. That's the only bad part about recording these right away is that you kind of just have to guess. But, obviously Tom Aspinall will be breaking into like the top 7, maybe even the top 5. Easily. Who knows? I don't know where Volkov was ranked, but
I think he was 6.
6, so yeah, he'll probably be in that like upper echelon. But I agree with you. Him versus Tai Tuivasa would be great. But man, that was just a great fight. Like I said, Tom Aspinall. I'm all in, man. That guy's for real. He's got like an interesting personality too. Like it kind of got overshadowed by like Paddy Pimblett's persona, and like how famous he is. But Tom Aspinall is a cool dude. Like he just keeps it real at all times. He's interesting, man. And I can't wait to see his next fight, whenever that may be. But on to the co-main, man. Another guy who I'm really happy got to have a moment in the sun today, or yesterday, I should say. Arnold Allen, man.
Yeah.
I said this in January.
What a showing.
You want to lead off, man? I'll let you go.
I mean, like, I think you should lead off if you want to touch on what you said in January, because I think that is something.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get into. It was just like, I said it in January on the Instagram, like at the beginning of the year, just like at the things I wanted to see in the featherweight division, and that was like right after Dan Hooker announced he was going down, and I was like, this fight would be great. Because if Arnold Allen wins, he finally gets a win over like a marquee name, Dan Hooker. And, not only did he beat Dan Hooker, but he ran right through him. And like, I didn't think he was going to knock Dan Hooker out, honestly. I figured if he beat him, it was... And honestly, at the beginning of the fight, it was trending that way. If you remember, I was saying if Dan Hooker plods forward like he does sometimes, this is going to be a bad night. And immediately he started doing that, and I was like, oh, no. And then Arnold Allen was picking him apart from a distance, circling. It was just a clinic, honestly.
I think we broke it down like pretty damn accurately on the on Friday on the Sports Book episode about how this fight could go and it seemed like once again here we are again Dan Hooker he's gonna take a lot of damage, but it's probably gonna go it's probably gonna go the entire 3 rounds and
I even said though that's not even because like if people think because Arnold Allen has all these decision wins that he has no power, but I was like he's got power, but I didn't think it'd be on display like that. Like that was incredible.
He looked sharp.
Yeah, and just a bad night for Dan Hooker.
Into the TKO. Yeah. That was a great performance. That was a hell of a performance. Huge win.
He called out Calvin Cater after that. That's a nice fight.
Mm.
He's so respectful. I love it. Like they're like, who you want to fight next? And he's just like, Calvin Cater. he's like, that's probably the fight they want to see. Like he's so humble. Like he doesn't talk trash, and I think that's probably why that like maybe some people didn't know. Like he's such a dark horse in that division. Yeah. He's undefeated at featherweight in the UFC. Like, I think that like Tom Aspinall, he's just heading towards the top, and I really want to see him against one of these top guys. Yeah. And this was just a great performance by him, and I'm glad that like he got to have like a showcase like that, especially in front of his home country. You know what I mean? That seemed to be the case with a lot of. It was like the theme of this card. Yeah, honestly.
Win victories and all that. It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
like, we'll get to the patty in the.
It's so weird though, because usually with these like London cards or just England cards in general, I always notice that like the British fighters, they never tend to do that well. But in this card, it was the complete opposite. And like, man, I'm happy it was, because like to hear those fans, like we were saying before, like just they get so loud and it's so awesome and it makes it fun to watch. But
that edge after so long being back.
Yeah, and like all the British fighters who won were so hyped. Like even Arnold Allen hopping on like the octagon and screaming. Like it's just awesome. Like I love the energy that like it gives the fighters who fight there too. And but back to Arnold Allen though, and Dan Hooker. Honestly, we covered pretty much what the future would be for Arnold Allen, but like Dan Hooker, man, it sucks because I love watching him fight. Suck. And he'll be here, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's not going to keep fighting. They'll always give him fights. He's so fun to watch. It's just like...
Dan Hooker's one of those guys where Dan's like, if Dan Hooker wants to fight, he'll let us know.
Yeah, exactly. He's a bona fide badass dude. Like, I remember Chael said after he took the Islam fight, just pretty much like, fuck it, why not? And he's
like, but yeah, I really...
Dan Badass Hooker.
I do kind of hope he takes some time and comes back just a lot.
I hope his confidence isn't like shot after. I don't think it'll be like permanently shot ever, just because like he's just that dude. He's just a fighter through and through.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But like
some time.
I'm not even saying that though. I'm just saying like the subconscious like mental struggle. You get what I'm saying? Like man. Deep down going in there like that you've had a rough couple of fights and that you gotta win. Like you know what I mean? Like you can be a fighter and enjoy fighting as much as you want, but like there's stakes to it at all times, and like some people deal with that in different ways. But I'm curious to see like how Dan Hooker deals with it, because he's had a rough go lately, man, and it's been against all great opponents. That's the sad part. Like he lost to Islam, Chandler, and then you got Arnold Allen. Like these are
Marlon Moraes in a way, except.
Yeah, Marlon's had a really bad downward trend now.
Tyron Man is legitimately like in Marlon Moraes's,
Same thing happened to Tyron Woodley too. Like you remember when that like kind of downfall? I remember when he fought Gilbert Burns. I was excited for that, and then Gilbert just beat the crap out of him. Then Colby beat the crap out of him, and it was just like. Then Jake Paul beat the crap out of him. And I was like, man.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Then he beat the crap out of him again.
Man.
I can't believe. Honestly, like we're going on a bit of a tangent here. Like, I can't believe. If you would have told me like back in like 2014 or something, like back when like Vine was around, watching like Jake and Logan Paul just doing crazy shit on Vine, like. Who would have thought that this guy'd be knocking out Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren? Like, these dudes are literally like athletes, like bona fide champs, and Jake Paul is beating them in boxing.
It really is like crazy. Like this dude he's really is like about this. Like you see like all the whole he's completely for the fighters, and
we just lost like 5 subscribers probably just for talking about Jake Paul. They're like, this podcast, there's one of these guys now. No,
this will probably never happen again. So
unless he fights another MMA fighter, and we have to talk about it.
We just have, yeah. Oh man.
Hopefully, Usman fights him. I think he might have a better shot against Jake Paul instead of Canelo. I'm gonna bring that up every chance that I get, just to say that it shouldn't happen. But
these UFC guys, they gotta do whatever it takes
for that MMA, man. Go to Bellator if you want some money. You know what I mean? Do you see Nate Diaz was saying he wants to go to Bellator? Well, I don't know if he was saying that.
Dude, Bellator does pay like
he was talking about
Really
Yancy
well.
Medeiros. He's just like, yeah, I want to get on that Bellator Hawaii card. That's what's up. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, I wonder, he knows he's under contract. Like, he acts like he's, like, doesn't realize that. But like, it's just funny how he trolls everybody just by doing that. Like, yeah, I'm trying to get on this Bellator card with my boy. I love it. I love it. And, like, honestly, could you imagine that, Nate Diaz in Bellator? That'd be interesting. You could probably
Nate Diaz
do
versus
some
Anthony,
damage,
versus
dude.
Anthony Pettis and Bellator.
No, it's PFL, man.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Honestly, Nate Diaz in PFL would be pretty interesting too. Jeremy Stevens is there now.
That's where Rory is too, right? Rory McDonald.
You don't want that rematch.
You don't want that
You remember how that
The
fight
suplex,
went? All those
the
suplex. He dumped Nate Diaz on his head like he was a child, man. That was a sad fight for Nate. That was in Canada, though, so he can't be too mad. At least it wasn't in, like, his home turf.
Yeah.
But, geez, speaking of home turf, though, let's get back to the English fighters. But we'll go to the next fight. That was before Hooker versus Allen. Paddy Pimblett versus Kazula Vargas. Man, dude, like... That was an interesting fight. I mean, honestly, I'll just start off because, I mean, I have some thoughts about this fight, but I want to know what yours are because we didn't really talk about it much before this. So, I'm eager to hear what you think.
I mean, things looked dicey at first for Paddy, obviously.
Now, Haley just comes out and is like... he didn't even get dropped. He just, like... He got clipped, and then he kind of pulled guard, but, like... Just the fact that, like, he's going in, like, chin up.
I was thinking to myself, like, as long as he gets his back to the feet, like, and I don't think I don't think Vargas is gonna just lay on him this entire round. If this gets back to the feet, Paddy gets out of a clinch against the cage or whatever, and we're back in the center of the cage, like, he'll be fine.
Like, when he got up, though, and he was against the cage, and then they showed his corner. I love when the UFC shows, like, the corner cam, and then they do exactly what they said. Like, he's like, hit him with the J-Flow, immediately. Oh my God, it was awesome. Like, that was just, it just shows, honestly, like, how technical Paddy's ground game is. Like, that's some, like, judo shit, dude. Like, you don't see that too often in the cage. I mean, it's there, but not too, like, people are more wrestling oriented, I would think, in MMA, just because those judo moves are pretty hard. But man, like, and then he got on top of him and immediately takes the back.
Yep.
Like, his grappling is so slick. Like, that's what I'm intrigued by. Like, it's weird because it's almost like how Sean O'Malley's career was in, like, the beginning. Like, you can't really get a gauge on how good he is just because of the quality of his opponents. But, like, if you're judging it based off what you're looking at, man, like, it's just so slick. And, like, obviously on the feet he needs work, though. Like you were saying, his chin can't be up the whole fight. And, like, he likes to say the Scousers can't get knocked out thing. But I don't know if he'll be saying that when he runs into, like, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, or even, like, people like Iliotoporia. Like, we'll talk about that, man. But I don't know. Like, what do you think about his trajectory? Like, where do you think that he needs to improve the most, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I mean... I think he'll learn real quick, like, all right, you can't, this kind of style just coming out, 100 miles in running to start every fight, and, I say looking for a finish however which way, but, I mean, if he's looking to get it to the ground, honestly, that elite grappling, then...
I never know what he's trying to do, because, like, you never really... There's 5 minutes... There's so much mayhem, like, he never gets a chance to show what his game plan is.
There's 5 minutes in a round,
he just comes out guns blazing.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think
he got good cardio though. I mean, well, decent cardio. I've seen him go 5 rounds like a few times.
Yeah, that's going on, but also like you're just susceptible. You're just so much more prone to just getting hit. And
yeah, it's just like he comes in. He's so confident, to getting
taken down, and yeah, but
he just got that.
Exactly.
Confidence.
I mean.
He comes in like guns blazing. He doesn't think he's gonna lose against anybody.
They know what they're doing, man. They're boosting that confidence sky high right now.
Yeah, they should, and they should slow roll him because he's young. I think he's only 26 or 27. Like,
yeah,
you got all the time in the world to build this guy and like get him better before he goes into this upper echelon of guys. And like, we'll kind of talk about this now, I guess, and we'll get maybe a little more into it again later. But, he was talking about Iliotoporia, Mr. Hand Sanitizer. I don't know, man. I don't think that fight goes well for Patty.
it doesn't.
Not now, at least. Like I think there's ways that Patty can win.
I think
but
I think he knows that too. I mean, in his post-fight interview, like he didn't say a word about it.
No, didn't he mention him once? He might have said the Mr. Hand Sanitizer thing, and then went right past it because then he said he wanted to fight Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't know. I'd have to watch. Yeah, that's what I call it.
I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. He should fight Mark Zuckerberg now. So probably not in the same weight class.
Is a man of the people.
Bro, Patty can get down to 145 one last time to fight Zuckerberg for the people. Oh my god.
Yeah, that dude.
He's had a rough run with his Instagram, dude. Like he's gotten it shut down.
Why is that?
Dude, they say like harassment. I think Sean Strickland said something about this. Like they say like, oh, it's harassment and bullying, and then you don't kick off the people who are in their comment section telling them they're bums, they should retire, they suck, they're losers. Like that's not bullying, but then like
the literal trolls like
it's so backwards. Like I like what they're saying. Like these guys are the real bullies. Like and they're banning the fighters. Like come on, it's just dumb. And Patty Pimblett, he's a good dude. Like I actually did want to talk about that a little bit. Like. Him saying that.
Yeah, I saw the
thing about the food banks in his town.
Quote. Yeah, you put it on your story.
Yeah, that was. He's just
I
so
really
genuine.
do think he had all the potential to make as much money as Conor McGregor.
If he keeps winning, he does, and I hope he does. Like I'm very like unbiased in like when I actually pick fights, but like obviously when I'm watching it, like I root for who I want to root for, regardless of who I think is gonna win. You know what I mean? That's just what MMA is.
It's natural.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to root for the people you like. And just watching him get that finish, and especially like he's always going through adversity. Like his resilience is just incredible, and even in his Cage Warriors fights, he's gone through a lot of adversity in them, and always comes back strong. It's just he's awesome, man. I don't know what else to say. Like he's gonna be trending in a much more positive direction the more and more he wins. And honestly, I hope they get him another fight in the UK somehow. I don't know what their plans are with that.
Yeah, that was really cool. The chant.
yeah, that was cool too. His walkout. I love his walkout, man. I remember thinking about that before his debut, and I was like, man, they're doing this in the Apex, and like, even in the Apex, there's like an energy in there.
Yep.
But man, this was obviously much different. But yeah, I mean, like I said, trending upward. That's all we need to say about Patty Pimblett, and he'll be getting better and better as time goes on, I'm sure. But before that, I think it was Gunnar Nelson, right?
Yeah.
Versus Takashi Sato. That was dominant by Gunnar Nelson. He has not missed a step.
Vintage Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah, not even. He's usually even like a slow starter, like even without the layoff, but he didn't really have that slow of a start. He went right to it.
He just knows how to just time a takedown and just when to push forward and engage so well. It's like, and that's what
good timing in general.
That's what essentially won him this fight the entire way through.
It's that karate style too, like the way GSP has said it too. Like he's such a good wrestler because of karate, because it allows him like blitz in and out. And Gunnar Nelson is the same way, and the way that he uses his grappling and his striking, just because he gets in and out of range so easily. And Takashi was swinging at air every time he was really trying to hit him. And then every time that he thought a strike was coming and like he was really setting up for it, then he would go for the takedown and he'd easily just get his back. And I was saying this, I think, on the sportsbook, even if I didn't, though, I was probably thinking it. Gunnar Nelson, his back takes are honestly like Patty's. Like they come so quick. It's incredible, man. Like I just love watching Gunnar Nelson fight.
Well, I loved this. He was still going for the finish too at the end of the fight. Like obviously despite already having it won.
Yeah.
Which is, I thought,
it's so meticulous though. I love it. Like he has no problem with just hanging out on their backs and just digging for that choke until you just quit.
Just beating on you. You have to block every shot.
And it's not even like he's swinging like as hard as he can. Like it's just like it's not as hard as he can, but it's not even like soft pitter patter. It's like in the middle. Like it's enough to actually make you move.
Exactly. You shouldn't exert that much, and your chances are you're not going to get a finish.
Yeah, he's such a smart fighter. Like I love watching him fight. Like I think he truly is just like a master in there. Yeah, man.
Guys like him can have the layoff that he had and just come back and just look as sharp as.
Yeah, and against a good guy and Takashi too. Like short notice aside, like that guy has so much power, and You know, when someone has that level
That's
of
what
power,
I was thinking. That's what I was.
that's always a
when
dangerous thing.
When we were talking about this on Friday, it's like, you know, as long as Nelson can avoid, you know, the left hook of that power of that really explosive power of Takashi Soto, like this should be a relatively easy win for him, and that's what it ended up being. So good for him.
They gotta get Takashi 6'9" in the cage.
Next, yeah, he passed.
I thought you were about to say next. On to the next fight. Let's not even talk about.
He passed the Takashi Sato fight. So
yeah, no, that's honestly that was a good
gotta
entry level fight for Gunnar Nelson to come back to. I mean, honestly, I think you could give him a top 15 guy next. I mean, he's earned it. He's been in the top 15 before. It's not like we don't think he's capable, but.
I wouldn't have any problems with that.
Yeah, like just see where he's at. Like, you know, if he loses, just give him, you know, step back. It's not that hard. It's not like he's ever been in the top 5. So who are you thinking
in particular?
Honestly, I didn't even really have like a name in mind. It was more just, I mean, I could look at the rankings real quick, but honestly, just anyone in that top 15, and welterweight's just so stacked. You could honestly give him maybe even someone just a little bit outside of it if they wanted to. But it's weird because I feel like they like Gunnar Nelson, but at the same time, like, he's so quiet. Like, he'll never call anybody out, really. Like, they'll kind of, like...
Okay, so he'll just...
It's always respectful if he does, too. But let's see this top 15. I'll kind of go towards the lower half. He already lost to Ponzinibbio. I don't want to see him fight that guy, Shavkat Rachmanov. It's a dangerous fight. Maybe... Maybe him versus, like, Chiesa. That's an interesting fight. They never fought. That's a really good fight. Him and Michael Chiesa. What do you think? I like that.
Dude, the grappling exchanges between
the scrambles too. Like, they're both so good. Like, on
it would be
top
control. Be physical too.
Yeah, that's a good fight, man. Like, how has no one ever thought of it? Like, well, I mean, Mike Chiesa's only been at welterweight for a couple of years, I guess, but. Honestly, Michael Chiesa...
If I'm not mistaken, Michael Chiesa's reeling off a loss.
Off Sean Brady. But Chiesa, it's funny, like, I'm thinking about it now. Honestly, the last time Gunnar Nelson fought was only, like, a few months after Michael Chiesa came into welterweight. So, like, that's probably why it's just never been talked. It's just never been a thing. That's kind of crazy. That should be the fight that they go towards, though, man. I hope somebody relays that.
We will be convinced one of these matchmakers is listening if this fight gets made.
Mccann and Sean Shelby, they're definitely tuning into the Handbook. They will be, though. They will be at some point.
Under the radar banger.
Yeah, man, that would be a great
in
fight.
The wins.
That's like one of those stylistic matchups that just like gets me excited just thinking about it, man. I that's an interesting fight, but
I love that karate kind of style too.
Well, he gets that because he trained. I don't know if he still does. I'm assuming he still does, but he trains with Conor McGregor, and like they've been training partners for years, man. Like they've known each other.
I think I knew about that actually. Yeah.
So they've had like a lot of the same like. You know, sparring partners and same coaches, obviously. So you get like similar styles out of that. But hey, maybe he can help Conor with his comeback. But man, that was a great performance, though. I just do gotta say that, like to go and win. I don't know if it was all three, but I know it was at least two of them. I think that was 30-26. To do that after having like 3 years off, that's just insane, dude. But on the. Arguably the knockout of the year so far. Honestly, probably not arguable. Molly Mccann with that spinning elbow over Luana Carolina. I'm glad I didn't end up playing her in any of my lineups. Speaking of which, we should get into that a little bit before we get into this fight. Not big money, because fantasy, you really got to do really good to make big money. Mm-hmm. But if you're ever trying to make extra cash, fantasy's the way to do it.
Any kind of profit, man. I appreciate
$35, and that's counting your $5 just saying. No, but like I was happy.
I had a really nice balance. I think the show this week, and obviously credit to Vegas as well. I think the numbers for the most part and all that, the price tags, they were pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's true.
The whole Timor Valley of Jack Shore. You know,
I had Jack Shore
dichotomy
in a bunch, because I had 3 lineups, or no, I had 4, and I had him in 3 of them. And obviously his win helped me a lot. All my wins scored a lot of points, which is great. The only person who kind of screwed me a little bit was Corey Mckenna. But he was only in one lineup, and it wasn't even my best anyways. Wasn't even my best. No, but it was a good day fantasy wise. Like honestly, it's cool like now that we're starting like that pod and like we're getting into it and like we're actually seeing some results like in our own wallets. So
yeah,
hopefully that inspires some of y'all to make some money with us. I always say make some money with us this weekend. Make some money with us.
It's fun, man. It's really like that added edge. Like,
it got me so much more excited. Like I'm watching like getting amped. I was out during most of the main card and I had it on my phone. Like I missed Patty Pimblett's walkout live, but I got it like right before the fight started, and then like I saw that whole fight and I was going crazy.
Sometimes you don't even like realize you don't even realize it till afterwards. You're so like just locked into like the fight itself and like however way it goes, and then you look back and you get the result you want. It's like, oh, let's go! I won some cash.
Yeah, no, that made my whole day better after that. Like honestly, like it was, and that's why I was glad. Like in America, obviously, it was during the day.
I'm telling you, Rob, the big bucks are coming.
No, yeah, it will happen. I am certain, dude. Like considering I haven't been doing this very long, and like I've been like I think the one lineup that got me a lot, I was like literally in like the top 100 out of like almost 2,000. So like that's kind of crazy. Like just thinking about that.
It's a rush, dude. It's a rush.
Yeah, no, but. We'll get into that a little more, I guess, maybe when we get to the Jack Shore fight, because that was the one that really padded my bankroll. But Molly Mccann, we gotta talk about this, man. That knockout, dude. Like, dude. I was dead wrong thinking about that fight. That reach advantage meant nothing. Molly McCann's pressure just put her on the back foot the whole time, and
I thought I saw something last week which I did with Khalil Roundtree. Don't get it twisted, but. Dude,
you're gonna be at a loss for words again.
When I saw Khalil Roundtree's night, it was more just like shock, like oh my god, like he just did that. When I saw Molly McCann's knockout, it was more. I was just speechless.
It was so like calculated too, like you could see it. Like she had her in the position and then immediately just turned.
Not just turn the flying elbow like
and
that.
Put her lights out. Like you like. In a women's fight, that's awesome.
To the back of her head, it looked like.
Oh my! That was incredible. And then England, like obviously, they're going crazy in the crowd.
Like, not to say like. I mean, now that they actually happened, you can't say the seeds were planted in the first round because she came really close to the finishes.
Like you could tell right off the bat that this fight was like trending in Molly's direction because she was just putting. And then
Luana she came out with. I think it was actually the start of the third round, but Luana came out. I think Felder was talking about a little bit with like a new added edge, like urgency exactly.
When you're down 2-0 to someone in their home country and you got the crowd cheering them on, that's gonna sway the judges whether you whether you realize that or not.
Yeah.
So
that only you know what's at stake now. But
judges weren't needed for that though, because Molly McCann is a bad bitch, dude. She's so awesome. I love watching her fight.
I implore everybody that watches this episode, to just take a few seconds of find a clip somewhere and just if you want to just see just something just insane, just your mind blown.
He's speechless again. See, I told you it would happen. Like I know.
If you have not seen this knockout yet, just take a few minutes of your.
I'm sure it's on Sports Center or something too. Just turn on ESPN.
It's got because I know the UFC, they do they'll post like their little after the finish happens to avoid it, and it's what am I gonna do with this? Why can't you just post?
That's the one thing with their business model that I hate, and We've talked about this obviously before, we've started this podcast, but honestly, I think it's just an interesting conversation to have while we're on the topic. But you see things like the NFL, the NBA, and even the MLB. They're posting the highlights of their sports, home runs, touchdowns. Imagine if the NFL didn't post, they only post after the catch and him dropping the ball and then him doing a little dance and stuff. That'd be so stupid. And we'd be oh wow, who cares? But obviously the UFC kind of dominates the MMA market, especially in America. Although not in the world. Like, I will say this, people don't know this, and I feel like it should be more well known. One championship, I'm pretty sure, in like Asia and just like that side of the world is bigger than the UFC is worldwide. Like, they have more followers, more people watching, which is kind of crazy. Like, because MMA truly is a global sport. But
you see it in the UFC with
and one championship, they do it like, I mean, I have some gripes with the way they promote too. I'll get into, but like, I think that they do a good job because they post highlights, but the thing that they do wrong, in my opinion, is that they post so many highlights that they literally overshadow like when the card actually is, and then you miss it. Like the Gary Tonin fight.
That's not good.
Like, I missed that Gary Tonin fight because I completely forgot. Like, it was in the morning because obviously it's in Singapore. Gary Tonin, by the way. I'm sad he got sparked in that fight. Do you see that fight?
I haven't seen it, but
or hear about it. Anything?
I know about the result.
Yeah, I didn't think that was gonna happen, man. Thought
completely out of left field.
Yeah, that was nuts. But anyway, back to the UFC's like promotion though. Just I feel like they could get so many more eyes on the sport if they just posted like more highlights, or even let like the ESPN page just post the highlights and copyright everybody else. Like, I don't understand why like you have a broadcast deal with ESPN and then you're not letting them post the highlights. Like, I get that they want people to pay for the streaming service and then like, you know, watch it that way, but it's just, I don't know. I think that they could make so much more money if they would just like, maybe even if it's just some highlights, you know what I mean? Or 1 or 2 per card. I don't know, like, what do you think? Like, I'm assuming you agree with me. Like,
yeah,
it's just it's
that's
crazy.
what I was pretty much alluding to before, and
yeah,
you take it away, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest.
It's like an archaic business model. Like, I get that like fighting is like a pay-per-view structure, but man, I think that you could get so many more eyes on a sport like MMA if you just post some highlights.
I guess it's the same way with boxing too.
Yeah, but that's different though, because boxing is like completely pay-per-view centric. Like, there's no like, you think about it, like unless you're a hardcore boxing fan, you're not sitting down for like a random boxing fight night on Showtime. Like, they have them. Like, I could watch them if I wanted to. I do like occasionally if it's someone I know, but it's not like the same deal. Like the UFC, like it's on the world. You're on the worldwide leader in sports. You know what I mean? And you could take so much more advantage of that, and they just don't. And I don't understand why. And I don't think that's an ESPN thing. I think that's a UFC thing. But ESPN's got to lower that pay-per-view price. What are we doing with that? But anyway, we went off on a tangent there, but that definitely like needs to be said more. Like that's just, I feel like if enough people say it, that's something that they would actually consider changing.
Yeah, it was a good transition into that.
Yeah.
Into that topic.
But back to the fighting, man. I don't even, we were on Molly Mccann, but there's not really too much more to get into with that. I mean, she was just pressuring her the whole fight, pushed the pace, and then got that fantastic KO of the year type knockout. But hey man, Scousers too, stand up. That was her and Patty had 2 great her wasn't a first round finish, but just 2 great finishes in general. But we'll move on, I guess, to the next fight, which is will be the first fight of the main card, right? Iliotoporia versus Jai Herbert. Iliotoporia is lightweight. I don't know if it's his lightweight debut, but I mean, I know he's been fighting at featherweight recently. But man, I don't know where to begin with this fight because, like, you know, there's some good things and there's some bad things. Jai Herbert, for starters, his striking was really crisp in that fight, and I think we really got like a showcase of that while it lasted.
He had a legitimate shot.
Yeah, knocked him down early and almost finished him in the first round, honestly. People were saying that could have been like a 10-8 too, because of just how on like the fence really it was, like on the ropes, I should say, not on the fence. But yeah, I mean, Jai Herbert was just picking him apart easily first round. You could tell like he was using his reach, and Jai Herbert's just a really good striker in general. But I didn't think he was going to be doing that to Iliotoporia that easily. But then Iliotoporia just showing how good he is, and just like the grit and like determination that you need out of like a fighter who has that championship potential, just coming out in round 2 and like just complete 180. And like you kind of saw at the end of the first round too, like he got the takedown. That was probably the start of it. But man, and then like he just starched him with that one hook, man. Like
Even this
folded.
knockout had me like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was.
Oh my god.
That was a knockout of the year contender
and,
itself.
Yeah, and then the
honestly.
fight right after just.
Yeah, this card was just so good, dude, from beginning to. We're not even on the prelims yet. Like the prelims were even crazy, but back to this fight, just incredible performance, honestly, for Iliotoporia. Like, I mean, I know obviously that it wasn't going well in the first round, but I think that was more of a matchup type thing rather than like actually just how good he is. Just because, you know, you're going up a weight class, you never really know how that's going to go. And obviously you're going against guys who have more power and like it's a different style. Like people don't really talk about that a lot, but when you're changing weight classes, it's just a whole nother ballgame. At lightweight, they're hitting a lot harder than they are at featherweight, and they're a lot taller. But Iliotoporia adjusted well, and obviously he called out Paddy Pimblett, and I'm assuming he wants that at 155. You know, like I said, I wouldn't want that if I were Paddy, honestly, at this moment. But for Iliotoporia, that might be an interesting fight if he can swing that. But I don't know. If he doesn't get Paddy, and I was saying this in my like little notes like before I was like preparing for the pod. I don't really want to see him stay at 155. I think 145 is Iliotoporia's division. I think he could honestly be a champion there if he keeps winning. Because at 155, you're going to be fighting those tall guys like this, and there's better strikers and better all-around fighters than Jai Herbert. So I'd want to see him go back down.
Yeah, featherweight fits him because featherweight's just faster, and I think that's the kind of pace that Iliotoporia should be fighting at. Whereas, like you just said, lightweight's still fast, but lightweight's even, you know...
It's more, when you go up, it's slower. It's just slower every time you go up.
These guys are just, they're hitting harder, they're doing more and all that, so...
Yeah. And you see it vice versa, too. Like, you know, Dan Hooker going down to featherweight, like, the speed is a whole different animal, and, like, that clearly was affecting him in this fight. Like, he hadn't fought someone that fast in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was... And in this fight, it was pretty much just the opposite, I guess. But... Iliotoporia, man, I just like Tom Aspinall. I'm high on him too. I think that he'll be if he stays at lightweight. I mean, I'm not so sure, but at featherweight, I think that he could be champion, and I think that he could give those top guys problems today. So, hopefully, he goes back down to 145, unless he gets that Paddy Pimblett fight.
Nice take.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say about that fight. I don't know. I kind of took over like the reins on that one. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
You nailed it. I really don't have much to add. I think that fight, for the most part, spoke for itself. And yeah, it's just, you know, lightweight is just, it's so stacked. It's so... I was featherweight as well, but featherweight is just, in terms of style and whatnot, it's just that's Taporia's natural, because there's
also a lot of height difference.
That's
too.
the whole goal at the end of the day, right? Like you switch, you cut, you change weight divisions to find your natural weight class. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know if this one's it though, just because like it's not that he can't win at 155. Like he has all the talent. I think it's more just a physical thing, because like a lot of those guys at 55, they're cutting a lot of weight, and like they're walking around like, you know, you can see Khabib, who wasn't even that tall, he's walking around at like 185, 190, and you know, you got lightweights, like even look at Dan Hooker, he's like 6'1", and he was fighting 155, he was fighting 145 yesterday, so I would stick to 145 if I were him, because you're going to have like more guys around your size, and you're not going to have to overcome that crazy reach advantage against some of these slick strikers that they have at lightweight. But, I mean, I guess we'll get into some of the prelims on from there. We don't really have to go in any particular order with this one, but, I mean, I'll start off with this. Muhammad Makayev in the first fight of the night, dude, way to just make a statement to start off the card. I think that was under a minute, wasn't it? Might have been. Might not.
Close to it.
Yeah, just outstanding.
Within 2 minutes, that's for sure.
I think he deserves a top 15 guy, like, immediately. Like, you call out Tim Elliott, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I'll take it. I don't know how that fight goes. Tim Elliott's one of those guys that I can't, like, it's hard for me to pick, like, against him. Just because he has, like his nickname, you know, it's an awkward style. And you don't know how, like, anybody's going to really fare against that, whether they're good or not. But that's a fight that I want to see. But what did you think of that clinic that he put on Cody Durden?
Well, this is kind of what I was talking about when I said, you know, Vegas got for the most part we were pretty spot on about what we were saying on Friday in Vegas as well, in the industry in terms of numbers and all that. This is because there just wasn't much reason to believe that Cody Durden was gonna win this fight. You know?
He has a wrestling pedigree, but this
even
guy's
in the fight
MMA
itself,
careers.
Even just talking about the last fight with Jai Herbert and Iliotoporia, Jai Herbert, that was really really tough ass for him, and
same thing for Durden, honestly.
But Jai Herbert, that legit, right from the get go,
he belonged in there. You know what I mean?
Right from the get go, a legitimate shot of winning the fight.
I'll admit, I remember, I was counting him out on the sports book. Like I said, he probably only had a puncher's chance, and obviously he had much more than that. But
and then Mccann. So Mccann. He goes for a running knee. Durden, he not really but I guess we can use Ben Askren as the poster boy of just going down when a knee's being thrown at you.
Yeah, no, it was
perfectly timed, and that's it.
The guy's easy. Legit. I think he's legit.
He
Cody Durden's not even bad.
He slipped into a guillotine. I don't think I've seen that before. Running knee into a guillotine like that.
Not off. I mean, it happens, but you got to be good to cinch it on like that. But
that was cool.
That was impressive. And Cody Durden, he's not that bad. Flyweight in the UFC, I think that all those guys are pretty competitive. And Cody Durden, he's a pretty good fighter, and he ran right through him. So, like I said, top 15, maybe even top 10. You could push this guy fast, and he's young. He wants to be the youngest champion ever. I think this guy has potential to do something like that. I don't know how many days he has or whatever, but we'll see, man. But I just had to start with that one. That fight was just incredible. Talk about starting off the card with a bang, man. Just, man, this card. And he's from the UK, too, so just another UK fighter putting on a show. Yep. And then we'll get to, you'll probably want to skip this fight, but Jack Shore versus Valiev, dude. Another UK fighter putting on a show.
Can't skip this one. I mean,
just a war, man. I know they gave out 9 bonuses. I didn't see if any of them were fight of the night, though. But if they did give a fight of the night, I hope that this one
I saw a performance of the night, which actually went to Mccann.
Yeah, they gave it to all the fighters who got finishes. 9 of them, apparently.
I respect that for sure.
But this fight was nuts.
Anyways, back to this sad bet that I've lost on this...
Fateful weekend.
Fateful Sunday night. Just to know, I'd be remiss if I just didn't want to talk about it because of that. This was an awesome fight, regardless. And I hate to keep bringing up Vegas and all that and whatnot, but this was another one that just nailed in terms of this was the one true pick'em of the entire card, and at least up until that third round, which
the third round you could argue that was a 10-8.
Yeah,
those knockdowns were nice, and I just
Jack Shore was just on it the entire time. So
it's not even only from you though. Like I said, I had him in 3 of my lineups, so I was like, I need this man to win, and that was like I said in the sports book. I figured that his pressure was gonna do it. So and it did. He walked him down throughout the whole fight. Valiev, he's good, but his style is he likes backing up, and I think in MMA,
Valiev almost had that guillotine in the third round.
I mean, he had it for a second, but I don't know. I have faith in Jack Shore's grappling. That's more what it is. Nothing tight.
I truthfully didn't know. I know a whole ton about Jack Shore coming into the fight.
Oh, yeah, he's good. He's undefeated now too. I think he's 15 or 16-0 now. But I've been high on him for a long time too. I remember he came in. I think it was in the middle of the pandemic. I'm not even sure though. But he's just a great young fighter at bantamweight. I think that you could push him into the top 15 too, honestly. He's fought enough good guys at this point. Valiev's a tough up-and-comer. Before that, he fought our boy Ludwig from The Ultimate Fighter. Remember that guy? Ludwig Shaolinian.
Yeah, man, I think that was a really good test pass for Jack Shore. I really thought Valiev's striking was just gonna overpower him, and
it was just an interesting matchup. I like the matchmaking on this fight. We were praising it before, but this one especially. and it was just a good style.
I was really impressed with the grappling from Jack. Just honestly everything.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I said, like, you know, Jack Shore's striking style is to just back you up and pick you apart. And for Valiev, I was like, it's only going to be a matter of time until Jack Shore cuts off the cage. And if he does, that's like when he might be able to take him down. He did get him down a few times. I thought that was just a good overall performance in MMA, like just like all aspects for Jack Shore. Like he really showed just how well versed he is in just all aspects of mixed martial arts. So, like I said, I think that you could push him into the top 15 or top 20 just because, like I said, bantamweight's like lightweight. It's just so many killers in that division that aren't even ranked. It's just give him somebody good next and push him into a good spot. I think he's earned it, honestly. But
we shall see.
Yeah, man, I'm very happy he won. But let's see, another fight on there. What's another? Oh, dude, what's his name? Sergey Pavlovich versus Shamil. That one was another one that went pretty much exactly as we figured. Just speed kills, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Mccann.
Dude, I just say Shamil.
Shamil, okay. Yeah.
I know how to say it when I'm reading it, but off the top of my head, I can't.
But honestly, the finish took longer than I kind of expected. I was expecting like a pretty quick.
He's got a good chin. He was getting clipped. It's
not even just for Pavlovich. Like Pavlovich was who I thought was gonna win, but like I'm expecting like this is gonna be a banger to come out, and I think someone's getting finished like pretty early in the fight. But
he's got like. Shamil's got a nice chin because he was getting clipped early, clean, and he wasn't going down. But then, like, just that knockout was just like this fight card. Honestly, has so many highlights, and like I said before, all they have to do is post these highlights more, and then they'll be golden.
That was dominant victory for Pavlovich.
Yeah, that's another guy I had in one of my lineups that did me well because a lot of points, and just. Honestly, we've been talking a lot about my dubs today. We'll talk about one of the L's that I had to take. Corey Mckenna versus Elise Reed. But like I did just want to go into this fight because I think there's a lot to take from it.
Okay.
But honestly, going in, I figured that Corey Mckenna was just going to be able to out-grapple her. And even like with her inexperience, like in young age, I still figured that she was just better all around. But, you know, she was trying to strike with Elise Reed in the beginning of the fight, and Elise Reed was clearly like just more confident on the feet. And like honestly, I liked her confidence throughout the whole fight. Like she was talking to the commentary team and stuff, and even the commentary team was talking about before the fight. She was really just like ready for it, ready for what Corey Mckenna had to bring, and she proved it. I mean, it was a pretty close fight.
So many more strikes. Than
and they were doing more damage. Like
Mckenna got a few takedowns and whatnot, but
and even when she did though, she wasn't really doing much with it, and it was just one of those fights.
I thought the split decision victory was fair.
Yeah, it was close. Like she made it. Corey Mckenna was making adjustments.
Exactly, it was a very close fight the entire way. So.
But it was like one of those things like momentum though. Like Elise Reed had it throughout the whole fight. Like every time she was landing, there was more damage being done, and like Corey Mckenna was whiffing a lot more, like with her shots, and just a good performance by Elise Reed. And honestly, I didn't know much about her coming in, and I'm intrigued to see her next fight and whoever they put her against, because I think Corey Mckenna is pretty good. So she's a rising star in the sport, and like she'll be back. I think.
Yeah, that's part of what I was thinking. What I was thinking too when after the fight, like Corey McCann, just like she should keep. I think she should keep her head held up high. Like I think.
Yeah, she's got a great team around her too, with Uriah Faber and all those guys.
Yeah, there's still room in the bright future for her probably. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see more of both of these two.
I think this is like a good learning experience. Like I think her striking can improve more after this fight. Like she'll see some holes, and then she'll be able to improve them.
Man, strawweight is just the absolute cream of the crop for
that's
women's MMA.
Not even just for women's MMA, but just like the whole division in general. Like, or just like the whole sport. I mean, 115 is just one of the most stacked weight classes. Like their top 15 is so competitive. The top 10 is just like crazy fun to watch. They're all so technical and they're high level fighters. But man, just that was another just a good strawweight fight. And like I'm glad that we're starting to see with some of these women's divisions, people who aren't even in the rankings are starting to like make themselves like worth noting and interesting, because like, you know, when they first came into the UFC, it was mainly just the top fighters that people talked about, but now you got these people like Elise Reed who are like putting on a show, like in honestly in fights like this, And, she beat Corey Mckenna in the UK. Like, that's home field advantage for Corey Mckenna. So that's impressive for Elise Reed to come in confidently like she did and to beat her up like that on the feet. That was just impressive. But
I know what we need. We cannot hold off for another second anymore.
Yeah, let's see.
That is the bear Jew himself.
Yeah. I actually did want to get into this more. Can I start this off with a question? Because I don't want to forget about it, like in the middle of the conversation. But I was thinking about this last night. I feel like you could make the argument that he is the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC. Not in terms of like overall jiu-jitsu skill, because I think like guys like Gilbert Burns are like better like in terms of actual jiu-jitsu, but I mean like in terms of jiu-jitsu in the cage, using it to win, he might be the best jiu-jitsu practitioner. Because he uses like he's not trying to knock you out. He goes in there trying to get on his back and get a submission. Like that's what he's going for every time.
There are not many people out there as good as Paul Craig to be able to maneuver the way he does off his back.
Bro, I blinked and he had that triangle. Had it. Like,
unbelievable. He was hurt too.
Yeah, he was taking some bombs from Nikita Krylov. Krylov? I don't know. Either way, just an interesting performance, I should say. Because he was saying to Bisping that like it was sort of part of his game plan to kind of leave his head open because he said he wanted to get him out of position, which ended up obviously working. But it's a dangerous game to play, but it worked in this instance. And then he called out Anthony Smith after that, and that's an interesting fight. I mean, I still want to see Anthony Smith versus Ankalaev, but I think Ankalaev has more options than Paul Craig right now because, like I said, I don't know if they're going to rebook Jan Blachowicz versus Rakic, but if they don't, I think you could definitely give Magomed Ankalaev one of those guys and give Anthony Smith Paul Craig because I think stylistically that's just a fun matchup because Anthony Smith is really well-rounded and he has really good jiu-jitsu as well, which is why I want to see what happens on the ground in that fight, honestly. But what are your thoughts on that performance? Like you were saying, you thought he was just. Do you think he should continue to have this type of game plan to leave his head open? I don't know maybe about that, but it worked.
You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean,
it's worked for him a lot of times.
That's what I was about to say. Like, because this isn't even the first time like he's had this kind of finish. Like
I've said it before.
There are not many better triangle chokes than Paul Craig's.
Dude, he gets dropped all the time, and he'll finish it with a submission in the same round, just like this one. Obviously, this was ground and pound that was nearly like knocking him out there, but it's just crazy, like how he's able to recover.
You can tell, like him and his coaches, him and his gym, they probably put an emphasis on that. Like
his jiu-jitsu is just so technical. Like his guard retention and recovery too is just like incredible. Like, at one point when Krylov had him hurt, he got into side control and just immediately just gets right back into full guard, like, and then keeping him there. Like, as because it's not like Krylov wasn't trying to advance, because he did a couple times and he just wasn't getting anywhere because his, like I said, Paul Craig's guard retention is just fucking incredible, man. Like, and then like we were saying, just the submissions are just locked on within a second with that guy, not even. So, and I didn't think he'd be able to submit Krylov that easily. Like, I thought it would take some work. Kind of like maybe like the way he submitted Jamal Hill, like locking it up and maybe pounding on him a little bit. But that was just over right when he locked up his legs. Like, you could see it on camera. Like, it was just, that's it. Like, he's not letting go of that, and just an impressive performance. It's weird because, like, he's in a weird spot. Like, and that's why he's calling out Anthony Smith, because he was saying he wants to still retire at like 35, which would be like the end of the year pretty much for him. And I'm like, that's crazy, man. Like, I hope if it gets to the end of the year and he's in that top 3, like top 4, and he's like on the verge of a title fight, I hope he reconsiders that and at least tries to like hold out until he like makes a run at the title, because, with one more win in that upper echelon, he's right there. So
hell, like even if you want to retire champion, like just win the belt and then just vacate it.
Yeah, it's just like I'm so impressed with him, man. Like he's so confident in his game plan and in his jiu-jitsu, and he has every right to be. And like I said, like honestly, we were talking about it, but you still like didn't really give me like a straight answer on it. Like, do you think that like you could argue that he's the best jiu-jitsu practitioner right now in the UFC, like in terms of actually using it to win at all costs?
I mean, if he's gonna keep, because like I just kind of touched on before, like that kind of like resiliency and just like, because once again, like, I don't know how much like I would assume like him in his gym, like they train like they.
It's
train
gotta be calculated. Like he comes out just coming to fight.
It's but like you would think like in that moment, like okay, you're obviously the goal isn't to be taken down and be on your back with someone on top of you.
But it's so weird though, because he's like, it's almost like Patty in a way. Like they're comfortable.
It is calculated.
Like they're comfortable off their back, and they know that they can get up or submit the guy. Like it's interesting to see, and like it's an evolution.
It's almost like the guy who gets the takedown is the one making a mistake. It's like, okay, because now.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm like, even when Krylov was on top of him, hitting him with the ground pound, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, it's only a matter of time until like if he gets tired and is in his guard for like a few seconds, like it could be over. And just like I said, Paul Craig's just got the slickest submissions out of anybody, I think, in those upper like weight classes. He's just so fast with it for like a light heavyweight, man. I'm always impressed, and I love watching him fight because he has like that warrior spirit, and like I said, the slickest submission game at light heavyweight, I think. But
the Bear Jew.
Yeah, man, great nickname too. But on to another guy with a slick submission on this card, Mccann Amirkhani against Mike Grundy.
Yep.
I thought that was going to be a war, honestly, but Mike Grundy, he immediately just shoots for a takedown.
Nice little short one to wrap it up. I don't think I touched on it this much on the sports book, but I really didn't see a ton of upside for Amirkhani. Like,
you didn't think he was gonna win?
Yeah, he just both, honestly. I thought it was just a more likelier path of victory for Grundy. I mean,
Grundy's like a more powerful wrestler.
Even if Grundy still lost, I wasn't like. That wasn't going to be. He goes for the single leg.
Well, it's weird because with Amirkhani, and like I noticed this. I remember when I was watching film for the fight that he had with Lerone Murphy. He has like an insane like front headlock chokes. Like he's good at stuffing takedowns and getting like anacondas, like Peruvian neckties, guillotines, like. And in this fight, that's pretty much just exactly what happened. Like I don't know if Grundy just didn't know that for some reason. Like I feel like that's just something that's too major to ignore. Like when you're looking at your game plan, I don't know how you could shoot that recklessly.
He's trying to get out of it. Like it's still like the fight just started. He's got obviously still a bunch of energy.
Well, I'm saying that's like a fight IQ thing though. Like you got to have like an idea going in that like this guy's got dangerous submissions from that position, and just at least if you're gonna shoot in, you got to have like better like. You can't just telegraph a takedown like that. Like, that's what Amirkhani's going to do. He's a vet. He's seen it all, And, like, we were saying that while we touched on it, like, a tiny bit in the Hurt Sportsbook. Like, when you're fighting a guy like that, they've seen everything. And because of that, you always have to be weary of, like, just the little tricks. And like I said, when you have dangerous front chokes like that, like, how could you just make that mistake right off the bat? It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure Mike Grundy will be back. He's a good enough wrestler that he'll recover well. He's got a good skill set for the sport, but great performance by Amirkhani, honestly.
Agreed. Yep.
But is there any more fights on this card? I think we might have covered them all. Yeah,
man, that's it.
Man,
what a treat it was. Like,
card of the year. We were warranted. The excitement was warranted because we were even saying it on the Handbook last week that we couldn't wait to break this card down, and it just lived up to the hype in every way, shape, or form. Like, we have a lot of stars have been born, I think, through this. Like, I think Patty's stock has risen. Tom Aspinall is a bona fide star now in MMA. I think Molly McCann's profile rose a little bit after that.
Oh, yeah.
After that amazing knockout. It's probably on, like, the Sports Center top 10 or something. But, man, just a great card, great showcase for all those UK fighters. And I think next week it's the Dawkins card, right? It's Dawkins versus. Let me look. I don't want to get this wrong. It's weird 'cause I was so hyped for this card. Honestly, I hadn't really been looking much in the future, but should be.
Understandably so.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Blades versus Dawkins. Okay, I was right. I didn't want to say Blades and then be wrong and put my foot in my mouth. But this is honestly a pretty good card in general. We got Curtis Blades, Chris Dawkins, Askar Askarov versus Kai Kara France, Matt Brown versus Brian Barberena, dude, Neil Magny and Max Griffin. And there's more fights on this card, honestly, that are just great, but I'm not going to talk about every single one of them. We'll talk about that, obviously, later in the week. And, yeah, I mean, I think we can end it off with that. I just think this was a fun card. Next week will be a fun card, obviously, as I was just saying. We can't wait to break it down on Friday. Before we go, though, I do want to say one thing. I'm wearing my Packish shirt. Definitely support his stream, and you should definitely look into buying the merch if you haven't done that already. I'll put a link to that in the description. I just wanted to wear this on the pod.
I got mine in black coming real soon.
Nice. You get the hoodie or the
long sleeve?
Long sleeve, yeah, man. Same here, obviously. They're pretty comfortable, and just wanted to support my boy, our boy, you know what I mean? Just a nice little shirt with his logo. Just want to show it off for the camera. But definitely check that out, and stay tuned, like I said, for the Hurt Sportsbook on Friday and the next Hurt Handbook on Monday.